Okay. So good evening, Hazara. Can I call you Hazara?
Yes, you can call me as Zara, or maybe Zara also.
Okay. Okay. So hi Hazara. Good evening. So we would like to interview you based on our project on child abuse. So we're going to
Okay.
do a project on child abuse things. So we want to interview you on this that because you have been affected by that from childhood. Am I right? So
Yeah.
we're just
Yes.
going to interview you about that, and I hope that will be helpful to our project as well. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm Patricia. Okay, I'm Patricia. My
Okay.
team
Hi,
members are
Patricia.
myself, and my friend. Guys, you want to introduce?
So, would you like to introduce your friend also?
Okay. Meesha, Amanpreet, and
Okay.
Shazrinah. So and me myself. So we have four persons.
Okay.
So Shazrinah, she's can't able to join because she have some personal issues. So she'll be in the Google Meet. Okay.
Okay, I understand. So, in here there is three people, right? You, Patricia, and Amanpreet and Meesha. Okay.
All right. Okay. 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 So first,
Okay.
I would like to ask first, and followed by others. Okay. My first question on you is: at what age you face this type of child abuse? At what age?
Okay. So let me repeat again your question. You're asking me in what age I have received this child abuse, is it?
Okay,
Correct.
before I ask for the questions,
Okay.
can you just introduce about yourself? Because I know personally know about you, but my friends they don't know. So maybe you can just tell about your introduction about you, maybe.
Okay, can. Okay, so
Thank
I
you.
am Hazaranas binti Muhammad Aslam. I am currently 20 years old and I am studying at UITM Puncak Alam. I am studying health admin. Currently, I'm now in semester 2 and I was actually born in India. And then my family came here when I was 5 years old. Eventually, when I was 5 years old, we actually first live in Singapore. And then when I was six, they actually relocate in JB because of their business. So from there we can also see there is trauma because as children, right, as a kid, when we have these changes, it's like huge changes, because in India I was very close with my cousin. I have lots of family there, my grandparents and my aunts and uncle, everything was there. And then for 5 year old, right, you literally like brought them into a new country where they do not know everyone, where it's not home from them. It's basically like the separation from their original home. So that can also cause the trauma. So I can actually say this was also my in child abuse trauma, even though it doesn't look like abuse, because abuse is in many forms for a child, because it's basically a really shocking experience for a child to go through, because they are unable to understand, right, the situation, and they are basically separated from their home at a very young age. So it's a really big changes for them to being able to handle.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you for
I
that.
like to introduce myself.
All right. Okay, so for in your opinion, okay, because you want to know, in your opinion, what is child abuse? You think?
Okay, in my opinion, what is child abuse? So child abuse is basically, people usually think that child abuse or maybe like beating up the kid and something like that, right? But actually, it's not that. child abuse can also be physical and also emotionally, and also the things that the good things that actually never happened in a child's life. Let's say their parents were neglectful, they never actually spend the time with the child, and then the child grow up and say, oh, I do not have any trauma actually, but actually they do have the trauma, which is their parents actually neglect them. So in their adulthood they will be feeling like lonely, even though when they have friend deep down they can actually feel the loneliness, because their inner child is a part of us that we will always have in us, is our child self, according to psychology. And inner child is
All
still
right.
present in ourselves, right? So child abuse, actually child abuse happening all over around us. As we can see, we actually normalize it. That's why people can actually see it. For example, in school, right? When we were in school, for example, like 7 years old, 8 years old, and then the teacher will actually beat us up with the ruler, or maybe slapping if we didn't actually finish our homework. That's actually also a form of child abuse, and we actually normalize that. And then the teacher say, oh, I did that to you because I sayang you, or something like that, because I love you. I mean, come on. If I ask you that question, okay, will you beat your children up, and because to show love, like affection to them? That's not love. I can truly say that's not the concept of love actually. So even that is child abuse basically, and we actually normalize it in school by the teacher beating the children up, and the parents are agreeing with it. And currently the world are revolving, many people started to awake and realizing this problem, this issue. So basically everyone has experienced child abuse in their life.
Okay, thank you for your explanation. Okay, so let's get started. So, at what age you face this child abuse? At what age, approximately?
Okay, so at what age I have experienced child abuse, right? So this is actually a very deep topic, and we really need to become more open-minded to being able to receive this, because this is deep things that we are going through, right? Child abuse, isn't it? So at what age? Okay, so when I was in India, my parents were very neglectful. They never actually paid much attention to me, and I was living up with my like parents' friend's son. So he was 16 at that time, and I was basically just 4 years old, and he was basically sexual abusing me. Like it was like sexual abuse, but it doesn't actually seem like. That's why I say trauma abuse doesn't actually mean that person actually beating the child up. It basically means something else, because that person was giving me candy as a kid, and as a kid children love sweet and candy, right? And then he will started to basically sexual abuse me, and I didn't even know that was sexual abuse, because as a kid, right, we do not know. So that time my boundary was basically hijacked by that person. As a kid, right, we do not understand our body yet. Our body is still going through growth, and it has not developed yet. So that was my first experience of sexual abuse. And then I was abused by my own father for basically crying. A child always cry, right? Because kid always know how to express their emotion. For example, when we were kid, right, we want this, and then we don't actually have it what we want, and then we will start to express our emotion. When we actually come to our life as adult, right, we actually suppress that emotion in us. We want that, but we don't have it, and then we suppress it. So it becomes shadow part of us. So as a kid, kids knows how to express their emotion. Like kids are basically so open. They will express their emotion. So my father did not actually like that expression of crying. He hated it. And that's also the reason why actually he hated the emotion, because when he was a kid, you can see the trauma actually pass on. It's basically through DNA. It is passing and passing on. So my father was abused, and because he was a guy, and as he has this man role of, oh, guy cannot cry. guy, it will be shameful for guy if they express any emotion. So even he was abused by his father to basically crying. So it became shadow part of him. So he
Oh,
hated anyone that actually portrayed that emotion, portrayed that shadow self of him that he rejected because of his father. So when he see me crying, basically kids crying, he cannot handle that. It's actually triggering his own past trauma. So he started to beating me up. That's basically toxic masculinity, right? A wounded masculine. Sorry, yeah. Yeah, sorry. Let me close it out first. Okay, sorry. Okay, so basically, then I got beaten by my own father, right? So when a child, right, like me, I would like to refer to my inner child as Sheila. So she wasn't able to express her emotion because she will get beaten every time she tried to express her emotion. She will literally get beaten up. And then when we come to Singapore, as a kid, I really wanted this Ferrero Rocher, right? And then my father wouldn't actually let me, and I started to crying because I could not get what I want. So it's basically normal for a child to express that. And then my father literally, literally, brutally beaten me up over there, and I was crying and 5 year old, like, and he was like slapping over there and all of those stuff. So, and as a kid, when we first come into this world, our relationship with God, right, we will actually perceive our relationship with God as an adult the similar one as we experience with our parents. Because when we come into this world, our parents was our everything. They were the first adult that we meet up. Is They were basically like our gods itself, because it's our first experience with a human being, right? And then we started to actually it's our god relationship and parent relationship, if we like view again, is kind of similar. So then, um as an adult, as a teenager, when I started to grow up, I started to hate God, right? Like basically, why God isn't giving me anything that I want. Like everything I desire, He doesn't want to give it to me. Like and He makes me He puts me in a suffering to get what I want. But like I don't actually get to achieve those things, even though I put lots of effort, because it was actually when I go back, like flashback, referring to my relationship with my father. You see, like relationship with my parents itself. I want that. I wanted that chocolate, and then I got beaten up so badly. And when I started to grow up, it started to build like the similar relationship with God. It's also according to psychology. If we see that, if we dig deep enough into our childhood, yeah.
okay. So it means that it follows the generation. So your father's father beat your father, so it follows generation.
Trauma will pass. Trauma will actually pass upon the DNA itself. For example, right,
Okay.
we were in our mother's belly when we will be coming into this world, like, so basically DNA, right, DNA also will going to pass the trauma, and then when we will see, oh, what I have actually experiencing right now, my father and my mother has experienced that, because trauma is passing and passing. That's why we need someone to stop the trauma to pass on. That's why we need healing. Healing is really really powerful, because we can, when we heal ourselves, we heal our inner child, we heal our past, we are also healing the DNA template of our family, of our parents. Like, it's really powerful. So the new generation that will come to our family, right, the template will be healed. There will be no trauma more to be passed on and passed on. It will stop, just like that. Yeah.
So it's like from child, since you don't get the blessing, seems like what you wanted, you didn't get. So
Yeah.
you grow up. You grow up like getting anger to God because you don't get what you want. Am I right?
Yes, exactly. Because the child can get
Mm.
frustrated, because they don't actually get what they want. And then when they started to express their emotion, they will cry, because they did not get what they want. And then the parents will beat up. So they will actually suppress their emotion. That's why we see nowadays in lots of people do not actually cry, but they feel like this emptiness feeling inside. because they have suppressed lots of their expression. Because when a child is angry, we need to ask, are you angry? Like we need to recognize that emotion first. Like, are you angry? Like asking them that question, right? Oh, I see you are angry. And then ask them, why are you angry? Something like that. Let them express their emotion, because the child is not getting what she wants. It's okay. Maybe let's say like she wants something that is not useful to her or maybe dangerous to her. So how can we like stop that, right? So first, let ask her, oh, I see you're angry. Let them know, recognize that emotion, and let them accept that emotion as part of themselves. And then when they say they, yes, they are angry, right, ask them why, and then ask them why they want it. All of those questions, because if a child doesn't get what he wanted and the parents start slapping the child to keep the child quiet, right, that's actually really dangerous, you know. Lots of damage can be actually done through that. In their teenage life, they will start to experience lots of suffering around their desire, you know. They put lots of effort on their desire, and then this not getting what they want, and then they will start to beating themselves up, like cutting up their hand and stuff. People actually say, oh, like cutting up the hand, or like they're so stupid to do that. No, according to their world, they're actually not stupid to cutting up like their hand or hurting themselves, because according they do not know how to express their emotion. Because when they were kid, their parents actually abused them when they were trying to express their emotion. So their parents abused them, right? So they use the similar pattern of their parent, because we all have our inner parent inside us. Even though when our parent die, right, the inner parent is still there. So when we look at the mirror and we start to criticize ourselves, like we're not good enough, we're this and that. Actually, that's not us, the one that criticizing it. The inner voice actually coming from where? Coming from our inner parent that was toxic, that were abusive, that were always criticizing us like that. It was virus that was placed in our mind. So people who actually cut their hand, they do not actually know how to express their emotion, because their parents, when they were kid, they try to express their emotion. Their parents respond to that by abusing them. So then when they started to grow up, they abuse themselves by response of the inner parents. You see, and when they heal that trauma, they will actually start to realize it. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. All right. So how do you feel? What is your feeling after the abuse? I mean, you're abused, right? So what do you feel like? Feelings, emotions?
So how do I feel after the abuse, right?
Yes,
um
yes.
Basically my inner child will feel really lonely, you know, like everyone is hating on her, and feel like really empty. Yeah, feel like really in a low vibration state, you know, like no one is there actually for her, right? Like no one is there to hug her or something like that. Just like people hating on her, abusing her, right? That's why we also need self-love, right? Because we need to give ourselves that we do not actually have in our childhood, that we wanted, we needed that help, we needed that love, we needed that anything that we wanted in our childhood we didn't have. We need to start to change the inner parent in us and provide for the inner child in us. That's why we need that self-love exercise.
All right, thank you. So next question. After you have been abused, do you feel to like run away from house or to take
Yeah.
yourself,
Yes, of course.
die, suicide, and all this? Have you like felt that?
Yes, of course I did. Basically whoever has suffered the child abuse in their life, right, they will try to run away, because they don't even know what is actually truly home, like what is called home, right? They do not know what is called home, right? So they will try to run away because they want to run away from all of those problems, right? The place that they were beaten, that they were abused, the place that they have such a dark past, right? So they think that they can actually run away from the physical world, right? But actually all of those dark past is in us, but they want to run away, like, oh, they have experienced such bad thing in that house, right? So I have tried to run away so many times when I was kid, when I was teenager, but I was unable to run away, because basically what I'm trying to do is running away from the 3D perspective, but actually all of those dark past is within. I need to go to explore that within it and heal it. I need to meet that inner child that is wounded, that is hurting, that is calling for help within, because all of our past is actually existing as still in us. That's why many people actually attract partners, like love partner, who will actually abuse them just like their parents did. Because you can say, right, there's a popular quote that say, we need to look like love is home, right? Love is home. So when that person, let me give example, right? Let's say Amanpreet, right? Amanpreet has experienced like such a bad childhood trauma, such a dark past in her home. Her mother was abusive, her father was abusive, her older sibling was abusive. So inside the home, it was like really dark things going on. So when she started to grow up, she wanted to find like someone that will appreciate her, that will love her. So she will look inside the partner, right? But then remember the quotes, right? Love is home. So in her subconscious mind, because our subconscious mind is operating right only 10% of it. Our subconscious mind is the one that controlling all of our daily life. For example, we're brushing teeth, we're walking, just we know right how to walk because of subconscious mind. Our past is controlling our present moment actually. And then she will actually look a partner. Her subconscious mind will actually attract that partner, the one that will abuse her the same as her father did, the one that will neglect her the same as as her mother did. But actually there's a guy that loves Amanpreet so much, he will actually bought flower, he will really care about, but Amanpreet is not attracted to him. That I don't want this guy. I want the guy that abused me, that the one that like neglect me, even though she don't know, even though her conscious mind will not acknowledge it, but actually her subconscious mind, she's operating from her subconscious mind. So she do not know why she get addicted to a guy that is neglecting her, not replying to messages, always like busy and not paying much attention to her, always like abusing her. Even she do not know. She just say, I do not know why, because I love him no matter what. But actually, it's because of her home, past home trauma that she has not healed. Even to the guy, the nice guy that keeps doing her and appreciating her, keep coming to her. She said, I do want you, because that guy bringing her the experience that's what's not similar to what she has experienced. So when Amarpreet started to heal her past trauma with her parents and with that dark home, right, started to healing each one of it, and then her subconscious mind will be clear up. So then she will started to attract, and then she also need to give herself the love she needed, and then she will started to attract a guy and be attracted to the guy that always give her for who she is. You can see that.
All right, thank you. So next, um, okay, how you said you have abused, right? Actually abused. How they hurt you, and you know why they're abusing you? Because some people, some
Huh?
children, they know, okay, if parents are abusing them, they know, okay, because I'm second child, I mean, father mother married, then second time they married because their mother don't like the child, so they will beat them. So there are some particular reasons in your life. How do you know why they are abusing you, and
Of course,
how they hurt you, in what
we
types?
all can analyze that. We all can
Physically.
analyze this one. For example, right, my father, he got four stepmother, and you can see why he actually becomes so much abusive. Four mother, right? So all of the mother, three mother, when he lived with his stepmother, right, abuse him because yeah, they do not like him because of the jealousy, right? Jealousy in relationship. And my mother, right, my mother love actually, she actually hates. Okay, mother, we can say that mother's love, right? Mother actually love their children because we come from our mother, so mother will actually it's basically like a part of her own self. For example, right, this is my body, right? My hand is a part of me because it's connected to me. And our mother, we were in our mother's belly, right, when she was pregnant. So when she gave birth to us, she is like so connected to us because she was one with us, like we are her own self, right? And when the mother actually hates herself, when the mother hate herself and hate the father, because remember, our DNA usually come more from the father, even more when we are daughter, right, girls, right. So the mother can actually see that reflection in us of her husband. So if she hated the husband, she will hate the child. She will really hate the child. And if she hate herself, she will more hate the child. Like some children doesn't even understand. They are my own parents, so why they hate me so much? For example, when I was 9 years old, I started to telling my friends that my mother is actually my stepmom, because I can't actually believe she's my real mother. Because of all the abuse I went through, and she wasn't there to support me. So I was like, how could a real mother do this to their own children? But then I started to realize, when a person hate their own self, right, they will hate the children. And when they hate their husband and they have still not forgiven their husband mistake in the past, they will start to hate their kids. Even for the man, for the father, right? The father actually started to get more frustrated on their children, because their children is actually a reflection of their inner child that was not healed. And this guy, right, masculine energy, love to run away from their trauma. Masculine energy is basically giving. We can actually yang and yin, right? Yang is giving. So currently in this world, the masculine and the feminine energy is so wounded. It's really wounded that the guy gives suffering to the woman, and the woman receive the suffering. That's why we see women always like suffer, but the guy is giving the suffering. But the guy is actually avoiding his own trauma. That's why many guys actually die earlier than girls, right? Because they're actually avoiding all of this their trauma. They're in so much of masculine energy that are wounded. That's why. So my father didn't actually, when he see me cry, right, or whenever he just see me, he just get frustrated. He want to like beat someone up, because he actually rejected his inner child that was actually crying because of his own father that doesn't like any kids crying. So he rejected his own self. So when he see me, he started to like um, giving all of this trauma. So when he started beating people up, so he won't actually have to deal with his own trauma. So giving other people suffering makes him feel comfortable, according to the abuser. Yeah. Patricia, I cannot hear you. Your mic is off. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. So, what types of abuses you have faced? Sexual, emotional, physical? Because we have many types, right?
Yeah. So I have actually
Mm.
experienced all of the abuse, emotional, physical, sexually, all of the abuse I have experienced. So basically, what's an emotional abuse? People actually say that, oh, emotional abuse is nothing than physical abuse. Let me say, sometimes emotional abuse can hurt really bad and really more than physical abuse. Actually, I'm serious. Like, for example, right, when my father like to hitting me on the face till my nose was bleeding, stuff that does not actually hurt me that much than what my mother actually said to me. My mother once has said to me that to a guy, right, to that guy, like, just beat up my daughter, anytime you want. Just beat her up. If she did anything, just beat her up. And that guy actually did beat me up, and he kept beating me like every day. He was like a babysitter at that time. He was my uncle actually, but was babysitting us. And I got beaten up really, really badly. But that physical abuse doesn't actually hurt that much than the emotional abuse that my mother actually said to that guy. Yeah, because the real mother, right, the one that supposed to love us that much, saying to other people to beat their children up, to hurt their own children. So you can basically see the emotional abuse hurts so much, more than physical sometimes. So, for example, right, more example of emotional abuse that I have experienced is a lot. Actually. Let me remember. So can I ask you, like, can I ask anyone? For example, right, Meesha, can you give like some example of emotional abuse that you have experienced, like the emotional one?
Actually, I don't experience any abuse. So my parents are so kind and lovely. Yeah,
Really,
yeah,
that's really lucky because it's really rare, right?
yeah.
Like any emotional abuse, no, like the one that you can remember. The emotional abuse can also come from a friend, you know.
Actually, my sisters and siblings are abuse me. Fun, fun lah. Not, not seriously abused. So I
Uh,
don't experience.
but
So
not
after
seriously.
Veronica, can I ask you questions?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, Veronica, are you done?
Okay, what's the question? Sorry.
Done asking your questions?
Oh, finish already. We that time. Oh, you asked her already. Okay, okay,
No, are
okay.
you?
Hmm?
No, your questions finish or still
Oh,
there?
okay, okay, okay. Sorry, sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay. Sorry. Okay. So did the abuse stopped or still going? Okay, like it was abuse at a child, right? At the child time. Now we are teenager. So did the abuse stopped or still it's going on? Because
Okay, so let me tell you. If we have experienced this type of abuse in our childhood, right, it won't stop. It will go like in our teenager, in our adult life, till we stop and then we realize it and then we started to heal it. Even through when we go through our healing moment, right, we will actually experience the abuse again because the abuse is suppressed in us. So to heal it, it will come to the surface to heal. So it's a lot. It's really a lot to experience, you know. So there will be the process of it. Yeah, of course. For example, if ambil lah. For example, right, when the abuse is not healed, and then we go through it again in our teenager life, the abuse will actually reflect it in our friends, in our because when we are teenager, we will basically identify ourselves with our friends, right? Friend or network circle or in the school, right? So even though in the school, people will actually start hating you without you knowing the reason. It will actually
actually,
become really weird. Like really, it was
yes,
really weird
I
for me.
actually
Like,
agree with that. I really agree.
why actually are you happy? What?
Yeah, actually, I agree that. I agree that. I agree that because
No,
I
you
have
agree.
myself, I've seen that, so I know and I understand too because it's
Yeah,
children like
because
this
people will actually
disability.
start hating on you without any reason. Like you just
Yes,
become the like bahan, right? The bahan that they will actually hate you, and you don't
thank
even
you.
know why because
Yes,
it's actually reflecting your inner world. Your inner world is so messed up. It's like really messed up that your outer world is even reflecting that hate back to you. You know, it's like go inside and heal all of this stuff, and then you can experience more better life. You know, more better people will come into your life.
okay. What do you think? Because as you're studying psychology, am I right? So, what do you think? What are the ways the government or maybe they can do to prevent this child abuse from going on?
Okay, so I will say, right, the government are always like let the parents just giving the bird and the bird, right. For example, in India the population is a lot. It's really a lot, you know, and there is lots of abuse going on in India. Like there's a lot of abuse, you know. So and the government love the population keep going on and on because the population will actually the one that will provide the money, right, with the taxes and stuff. So I will say that the government really need to make like something like card or like a ticket. For example, newlywed couples, right? If they want to actually have children, they will need to be interviewed first, and then need to meet like a psychiatrist or something to go through their trauma or something if they really want a kid. I think the government really need to prevent anyone to have children, because not many people can actually take care of children. There's a lot of toxic parents over there that are having children so that their children can grow up and can take care of them, or maybe just their children is 7 year old and need to start working and provide them the money. And the children are brought up to this world to basically like to do child trafficking or something like that, right? They are basically using the children and abusing them. So I think the government need to take up the step to basically, what we call that is like to make a card, right, for newlywed couple or anyone to really like what we say that, like ketat kan like
To tight, to make the strict laws
yeah
strict.
to make it straight lah, to make it straight. No, not do not let like anyone to give birth. Do not let anyone to have kids. You really need to interview that couple, ask them lots of questions about their background and stuff, and then really like look at them. Can they really take care of the child? Like, can they really give the love that every children deserve, right? Yeah. So like that, so many children, right, can actually deserve and get the love they get, because nowadays is okay, right? I do not know, because I've seen my friends, right, they all have such a loving parents, and then when I see my own family, I'm like, yeah. So I think the parents that they do not actually deserve to be parents, even they were arranged marriage, right? They actually forces to get married and then forces to have children, right? So the government really need to stop that. The government really need to ask, are like, do you really want the kids, or is it there someone is forcing you to have them, or something like that? Like the government really need to interview every parents, right? They need to like open up a corporation or something to like interview every couple that wants kids, that want to have kids. Make it like strict, do not let everyone have kids, because many criminals has brought up into this world because of their child um ch- that childhood experience. Because when you look in every criminal history, right, they all have such a dark childhood experience. For example, Charles Manson, who actually create a cult to actually murder like Hollywood celebrities. He actually has such a dark past. He was her mother when gave birth to, because her mother was prostitute, and when she gave birth to Charles Manson, she said that, oh, I don't want this child. I don't want to name him anything. And then she was going up to the bar trying to sold him for $1, so that her mother could buy a beer. And then her mother actually neglect him, and then he's, because he did not have that parental figure in his life and his dark past, he was, you see, even to her childhood, right, he experienced that trauma, neglectful mother, and her father wasn't there. That trauma doesn't actually stop there. Then he was sent to Boy Scout school, and in Boy Scout school he was raped by boys, he was raped by the teacher itself, he was abused there, and then the trauma doesn't actually stop there. And then eventually he was a guy, right? So he started giving the trauma to other people. He started to raping other guys and stuff. You can see that. So when the government actually made this rule, right, make this rule to interview people that wants to have children, and make it like strict, right, strict to have children. I mean the rules and regulation that govern upon childbirth or something like that. Only some people can have children, only some, because many people in this world doesn't actually deserve to have children. Every children deserve parents, right, but not everyone deserves children. Yes. So even like criminal activity can also be prevented and all of this stuff. Okay. But I'm not saying that I'm experiencing
Actually, I like.
child abuse, so I'm a criminal or something like that. Because I'm started to heal. Like I say, healing is really powerful. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Wait. Okay. Okay. Agreeing to your point of view, it's my point of view that I would like to say, which is, you said, not everyone should have kids. Am I right? Not
Yeah,
every parent should
exactly.
have
Not
kids.
everyone
So,
should
in
be
my point
allowed
of
to have
view,
kids.
okay, in my
And
point of
also,
view,
I want
in
to
my
add up. Sorry, I want to add up that the government really need to, because in US, if we see in the US, there is lots of what we say there, like the therapy center, that has been provided for people who have experienced a lot of trauma, right? But in Malaysia, they do not have that. In the US, they got a lot over there, so that many people can heal, right? And the therapy over there is also free. And in Malaysia, we do not even have it. Like in Malaysia, the therapy, right? Even the therapists are really very unpopular. Like they think, oh, no need to solve anything. They do not actually awaken to that, awaken to inner healing, inner child work, shadow self work, all of those stuff. It's not there. So the government really need to provide a like a center that people can come up and share their past trauma experience and can heal together, and also provide psychiatrists or people who are expert in psychology or inner world healing, inner child healing and stuff, right there, so that they all can guide people together, right? And all of those stuff.
okay, in my point of view, I would like to add something, which is, one second. Okay, okay.
Belum lagi, belum lagi. Itu ketiga. So where is Patricia? Patricia, are you there? So are you there, Patricia? Your mic is off.
Patricia, your mic.
Okay, now.
Okay, now yeah, we can hear.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, coming to the point, I'm not agreeing, but just I want to tell, which is, not every parents can have child, okay, but the nurturing, the the how to say, when the child a child is born, we will need nurture them, right? Like will teach them, right, how to how to grow and all that, right? But the teaching of the kids should begin before the what do you call that, before the baby is born. So the teaching of the kids, we have to instill it at the pregnancy time. You find you understand what I mean?
So
So
you're
in
basically
pregnant time,
saying, so you're
hmm?
basically saying that when that person, like that woman is pregnant, the government needs to have a center that they will instill the early childhood education to her. Is it?
No, what I meant is every parent, before they go for the kid, before they plan for a kid, they have to know, before they're doing this, they have to have this thing. If they are pregnant means they have to nurture their kids from their stomach. So beginning from the pregnancy, they have to nurture their kid. They have started to nurture their kids. You
I will
understand?
say that
So
even before the pregnancy, I will say even before the marriage or anything like that, right? They need to have the knowledge.
ah
They really need to have the
yes, but
knowledge.
yes,
First, the knowledge is on the
yes.
self, right? First of all, they need to have the self love, the amount of self love in their own self. Because if there's only self hate exists in themselves, they will actually start to abuse their child, their own child. So they need to have their own self love. They need to develop their self love, and they need to heal their own self even before getting into the relationship, so that they will not start to hate the other partner. And then when there's kids, and then they will start to express all of their trauma, right? Like express all of their emotion and stuff on upon the kids, not their partner itself. So
Okay.
they
So
really need to develop the self love, and need to do all the healing even before getting into the relationship.
yes, like before getting a kid, a baby, the person itself, the husband or a wife, must agree, and also they need, if they want to have the baby, it should be their personal thing. Like they can't have a baby because of someone asked, someone asked to have a baby. If that's the thing, this
Yeah.
child abuse will happen.
Yes, exactly.
So they have to have.
They're the
If
one
they
that,
want to have the baby, they
yeah,
have to take
it's
care.
their
Yeah,
desire, not
it
anyone
just
else. Yes.
just because the society says, to have baby, or maybe their parents or other relatives says they have to have baby, they do it, and then end up not taking care of them, not respecting them, not to give them any, any personal cares, and also someone, they will be ended abused. So one way is, we have to know, the parents itself have to know, if they want a baby, they have to like have a plan for them. Or maybe the
Yes,
doctors
exactly.
should have consult the father and mother who want to have a baby.
Yes.
Consult
Yeah,
very clearly,
tell them. Yeah.
okay, to know whether they're interested or they are forced by someone to have the
Yeah.
baby. Okay, so it's my thing there. Okay, my last question will be, okay,
Okay. Yes.
so
But
because,
before that, right, I need to add up that if we can see the U.S. country, right, in their school, right, teachers aren't allowed to beat up the kids, right? But in Malaysia, the teacher are allowed to basically abuse the children when they do not. I will say that as abuse, the slapping. I still remember when I was like the Jannam, the teacher actually picked up the guy student, right, because he was just 11 years old, because he was not noisy, right, naughty. It's really normal for children to be naughty because they are actually expressing their creative energy that is a lot in them. But then he picked up that kid and then started to beating him up in the class. He locked up the class and started beating him up, and no teacher actually raised up their voice because they normalized that. It's actually abuse. So the government need to like strict the rule and regulation on school that the teacher aren't allowed to beat up any children, and aren't allowed to actually abuse them emotionally also, physically, emotionally also. emotionally by saying that, oh, like you're not good enough, or you're something that, or something this, right? Trying to actually downgrade them, or trying to
Yes,
actually
correct.
be racist to them because of their race or something like that. They really need to stop that.
Okay, thank you. So my last question will be, so nowadays because of child abuse, children are most very emotional. They're so sensitive, so they will try to take themselves like suicide or cut their hands, or maybe they will run away because of their emotion, because of the emotions they face, the abuse. So what would you like to say for like this type of children who want to take their life because of this child abuse? What do you advise them?
Advice who? The kids that do all of these things.
Yes.
So basically, the kids that who do all of these things, I will ask them to sit right. Like first of all, we need to actually connect with them in their own world, so we can actually like become their friends, like their best friend, right? And also their therapist, and they are the most loving figure, by first of all, like by giving them a paper that is blank, and then asking them to draw anything that actually makes them run away from home, or anything that makes them to cut their hand, to beat themselves up, anything, just draw it. And then when they express all of those in a blank of like paper, right? And then we will start to actually house them or give them the love that they have not received, and basically listen to them, everything that they have to say. And then ask them, okay, so what emotion do you experience when you try to run away from home? There will be shame coming up, because they will usually scared to say, oh, I was angry, because whenever they are angry, their parents will start to beat them up and all of that, so they are afraid from saying that they're angry, because they're so shameful of their own emotion. There's shame there. So even shame is the lowest of vibration, right? It will make them hate their own self even more. So we need to make them comfortable with all of those emotions first. Let them know that all of those emotion that they are experiencing is normal, and it's okay to experience all of that. So when they are able to experience all of those bad emotion, like scare, like shame, like lonely, like really really deep sadness, and all of those stuff, right? Angry and all of those stuff. Let them feel all of those emotion. When they are feeling those emotion, right, they're actually transmitting. When they feel it, they accept all of those emotion as part of themselves, it will begin to transmit itself. Then they will start to feel more joy. It's a process, but yeah, it will happen.
Okay, thank you for that. So that's all just my questions for you. So other of my members have asked you, right? Thank you. Thank you
Wait,
for
there's
spending
there's
time.
more.
So can I continue?
Oh,
Mm.
okay, again.
Only a few questions, okay? Not
Okay,
so
yeah.
long. Okay, my first question is, so how do you overcome this kind of abuse or the feelings? Like, how do you heal the feelings? By listening song, or share your problems with your friends, or meet counselor? So how do you heal the feelings?
Okay. So thank you, Misha, for the question, right? So you're asking me how do I heal all of this stuff. First of all, sharing all of this problem with friends, we need to be really careful, because some of our friends will not actually help us. We really need to choose the friend. But I will say that, because most of our problem, right, not even our friend can understand that, or even a counselor can actually understand that. We really need like a really great therapist to go to, but not everyone can actually find a great therapist, right? So we ourselves need to become the therapist that we need. We ourselves need to become our friends that we need. We ourselves need to become the figure that we need, a living figure that we need for our own self. So first of all, we need to surrender to God, to God, right? Just talk like you are talking to God, a living figure, not like a fear, or we need to fear God or something. He's really loving, he's or she, like God, God God has very loving energy. God is not something that we need to because we have been even teach that, oh God, we need to be fear of God, because if not, we do not do this or do that or do this, we are like so unworthy of God's love. God will not accept us. We have been teach all of this stuff, right? It's like a programming. We have been teach all of this programming so that we can actually separate ourselves from the real God, and goes to the one that which is fear based, that they actually created over there. So first of all, we actually need to heal that. Need to know who is the real God. Need to find within us. God is love. God is love. I will say that again and again, because God is really love. It's not fear. It's not someone. Oh, if I do this, I will be like I'm so shameful. I shouldn't be doing this. I'm so unworthy of God's love, right? No, God is love. God will accept us no matter what we do. Like even though we have taken drugs in the past, or something that like maybe like smoke or something, we hurt other people, right? We do not actually need to place a shameful emotion over there, right? And we are not unworthy. We need to heal that, and we just need to surrender, right, to the universe, to the God, and then just need to express our emotion over there and start going through like therapy healing. You do not need money to go through all of this. All of those has provided on YouTube, currently right now. For example, where you can watch like Till Swan video. Till Swan is a great psychologist. She's a great therapist. She's also a great spiritual leader. She has suffered lots of trauma, and she began to heal all of those trauma, and she has become the most powerful person ever to actually help others to heal. So you can actually find this video and started to doing inner childhood, connecting with our inner child, because most of our problem in our life is causing by the inner child, because we are not giving much attention to her. So need to connect with our inner child and all of those stuff. So yeah, so basically it will always need to start with ourselves. And by song, that Meesha has also mentioned, song is a great thing, but it can also be dangerous, since people like in depression will hear like a depressing song and stuff, right? So only depressing song, they will actually become more depressed actually. So they will need to hear from a song that is actually sad, so that they can actually feel that sad emotion, and then need to like create a playlist, like, oh, first sad song, and then from a sad song from to like normal song, and then a happy song. So they're actually transmitting it. So they are transmitting the vibration from sad to like becoming more joy, so they will heal. Because when you need to heal, you need to actually feel the sadness, feel those like depression, right? And feel all of those emptiness, that the emotion that's dragging us down. After feeling it, then we can only rise up. So yeah, it's begin with our own self. We need to become our own therapist, our own friend, and our own like guiding figure, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so I agree your point. So that the children who abuse can listen to the motivation speech or the song that can make the what heal the sadness. Okay, so that I want to ask you, does any place on your body hurt like bleeding, like a big?
Yes. I'm sorry, I didn't actually hear you on that.
Okay, so I want to ask you, the second question is, does any place on your body hurt like big, bleeding or something else?
Oh, like bleeding or something like that, right? So you basically mean, is there the physical abuse that I have experienced, like bleeding, all of this stuff, right? Yeah, I have experienced that one. When I was a kid, right, I was fighting. Like there was fight going on between me and my sister, because I wanted to sleep there, and she won't actually let me. So my sister was the one who was started to beat me up, right? She is the one, because she's like 6 years older than me. I'm so powerless at that time. So she started to beat me up. And then when my father come, my father will like, there's lots of amount of hate that only he see on me. So he just came up. He won't actually ask, oh, what actually happened here? What's wrong? He won't actually ask. He just come, and then he saw me crying. He hit me in the nose till I started to bleed and bleed and bleed. And he hit me like somewhere in my body, right? Started to bleed and stuff. So That was the bleeding experience, that were caused by my father. And then from my mother, I still remember, right? Um, she was really frustrated at me, so she like threw the knife, right, to my stomach, and that one started to bleed. And then my uncle in India, they do not actually like when the woman actually go outside, right? That time I was like 14 years old. I wanted to go to like buy candy, with my cousin. And then when he found out, my mother said, "Oh, you can hit her whenever you want," right? So he hit me like so bad till in my family members, all of them does not have like the power degree, for eyes. Their eyesight is really good, but mine, I'm actually currently wearing like the power contact lens. It's the power contact lens, and mine is really bad, up to 350 375 already. So because of that experience, because my uncle, right, I will actually not like to say my uncle, I would like to separate him from myself. So I would like to say my mother's brother. So because the experience was so bad, he was such a like uh, I will say the truth here. He was such a bad person, He beat me up like so badly, right? I started to bleeding like from my head. I think he threw something or like that, right? Started bleeding, and then my eyesight. They didn't even when my mother come from home, right? When she realized all of those stuff has happened to me, she doesn't even like give care about it. I was not taken to the hospital or anything like that. That's why my eyesight started to become like blurry and stuff, and my head always hurt from there on. And then other bleeding experience, I have experience also from my own cutting my own hand, right. I don't think you can actually see, right, from here, right. Yeah, but cut my own hand when I was a teenager, because I did not know how to express my emotion, and keep getting beating up, right, by other people. So I thought, only that was how to say, only that was I was experienced right in my life. So when I started to like get frustrated or sad, I will start to cut my own hand, right, and then I cut it with the knife, right. So there was a lot of bleeding, come up and stuff. And then I started to heal, and then I will never do this again to my body, I will never ever cut myself again, never will. I will never do that again, because I started to develop self-love and self-appreciation, because others portray like others show me the hate, right. When they show me the hate, I will we will actually take that hate for our own self. So we will actually start to hating ourselves. For example, right, we aren't actually ugly, right, but the society beauty standard, for example, according to Asia society beauty standard, they need to be like fair skin and stuff, right. And then when we are like maybe like black skin or tan skin, and they start to see, oh, like you're ugly, and then we started to seeing in the mirror, and then when we grow up, we started to say ourselves ugly, right, and then we started to get treatment to become white or something like that, right? But actually it's not us, it's their virus that was placed in us, that was making us to hate us. Because according to other beauty standard, black skin is the most beautiful color, right? According to like the US beauty standard, for example, they appreciate tan skin and stuff. It's just a beauty standard. It does not actually define how beautiful you are. Everyone has their own uniqueness and stuff. Yeah.
Okay, so did you report on your uncle for abuse you physically? Did you?
This one is not easy. People actually say, "Oh, child abuse, just go ahead and report," right? It's not easy. It's really not easy. You can never actually do that, because when I was 9 year old, right, I was abusing by my parents and stuff, right. So I call up the police. Police aren't really helpful. They're not helpful at all. So I call up the 999, and then I was crying. I do not know what to say, and she was like, "Yes, hello," and then nothing, right. I could not. I was not able to say that because I was trapped. I was afraid. Child will afraid, because the adult, right, that are controlling their lives, so they will afraid to go to police and tell all of this stuff. It's not easy. And then when I started to uh, my oldest sister abused me till I was like bleeding and stuff, right. I wanted to like do the report on to make the report, right. But then But then my sister was saying that, oh, like she started hating me more and more and more. She started to like throwing all of her hate to me even more. So I was like, never mind, I will not do that. And even when my uncle did that, I was actually controlled by adults. I was powerless. As a kid, we are powerless. Even though we are teenagers, right, we are so powerless. They're the one who are controlling our life, so we cannot actually do anything. So even though we go ahead and to report to the police, right, we won't actually be able to reach to that. They will actually come to stop us. They will eventually know. So we are literally in a powerless state over there. Yeah.
So yeah, I can understand your feelings as a child before this. Okay. So last question is, will you tell a few words or advice this kind of parent who still abuse their children? A few words, advice or like that.
Okay, so the parents who actually abuse their children, right? Even though if I advise them, they will not awaken, right? They will be still in a deep sleep. Even till now, I always say to my like my mother, right, abusing children is wrong. Like kicking them, slapping them is wrong. And then my mother said, oh, what if they become bad and something like that? No, they, because they have their own belief of abusing children is the right thing to do. So they're the one who need to clear up the programming first. But most of them do not want to do that. They do not want to do that. So it's not useful to advise them, because when you advise them, they will not change. They will still keep abusing them. So you will actually need to cut off the connection with those people. I know it's not easy because it's family, right? So there will be the process. There will be a process to clear up them from our life. There will be the process. So it's not helpful to actually go ahead and advise them, because trust me, they will not listen to you. I have done this before, and they will not. They will still like holding up onto their belief or abusing children is right, something like that. That's all.
So okay, Amanpreet, you can continue your questions. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you to answer all my questions. Not.
Um, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Hi. Sorry.
Okay.
Hi Zara. I would like to ask 4 questions. Is it okay?
Yeah, it's okay. I'm good. Can.
Okay. My first question is, do you ever feel isolated or controlled by your parents
Yes.
when you are abused?
Yes, a lot. Like really a lot. When I was abused by my parents, I felt really isolated in the family. I was like the black sheep of family, right? Because being the black sheep in the family, I was the one that was being abused more than my whole sibling. Even though they did go through that, but I was the one that went through more than them. So I was really, I felt so isolated, because I was like, I keep seeing my friends family, right, their parents was so loving to them, and I was like, why is my parents like this, like why is my family is like this, and why others are like loving and so like caring about their children and stuff, right? So I feel really isolated, because I will when I was with my friend and their parents, right, their parents will ask them, "Oh, how was school? How did that happen?" and all of this stuff. So they started to telling their parents all of the story, and they were not shameful, like any emotion like that shame come up to tell their parents, right? But I will feel that, and my parents never actually asked me about anything like that. They actually do not give like any care of all of those, like was how am I doing in school or anything, or my friend life or anything. Like they only know how to criticize me, only that. So I feel that deep isolated, and it continued through my teenagers life. When I was teen, I feel so isolated within my classmate. I was like, why people are hating me for no reason, because my inner world was so messed up, that so I was going through this isolation. I feel so isolated. Even though when I was with people, I was communicating with them, I still feel deep down isolated, like feel empty inside. And feel isolated, and also what was that, Amanpreet? Isolated and
Controlled.
control. Yeah, I was really controlled, because parents who abuse a child, they want to actually control the child, right? So I was controlled by, for example, by religious programming. I do not know if I can go through this topic because it may be sensitive, right, for some people. But for example, I was forced to actually pray 5 times a day. And when I do not actually, I forgot to pray when I was like 7 years old. They will actually start to smack me with hanger or stuff, and I was controlled by, for example, like controlled by not doing the housework. I needed to do the housework. If I, even though I was 7 years old, right, if I didn't do the housework, like clean up the house, I will get beaten up. And yeah, all of those stuff. And then just little things, even the little things. For example, I just place it the glass over here instead of over here, and then they will start to beat me up. They want to control my every movement. Yeah.
Okay, next.
Okay.
Sorry. How often does this always happen to you? How often?
How often? It was really often, this is why my favorite moment was when there was no one at home. That was like really amazing to me, when I was home alone, because there was no people that will control me, that will try to abuse me if I did this or did that. I was like completely free. So I love to be home by myself. So when they are actually over there, it will actually happen often. Whenever my parents are at home, it will happen like every single day. Like every single day I will receive the criticism, the beating, all of that. So I really do not like when they are at home, at that time. Even though they thought the best thing that they can do when they like to leave me and my little sister at home is to provide us with babysitter with our uncle. It was actually such a horrible experience. When my uncle was there, he liked to beat us. So he doesn't actually like to beat my little sister. He never actually beaten up my little sister, but he beat me up because as a kid, right, I was actually really great. I have interest in repairing stuff. Like I was just like 8 years old, but I can repair a television that was broken. I was able to do that. So I was really interested in becoming a mechanical engineer. I was really interested in that. And then he was the one that caused me to actually drop this dream down of becoming engineer. He was the one, caused me this thing, because when I was trying to repair the television, right, he saw me what I was doing, right, started to beat me up just because I was trying to repairing stuff up, just because of that. So you can really see, and I was in a powerless state as children, right? We are in a powerless state, and adult is like in the power state, right? So we need to start to heal this up and start to realize that we actually are so much powerful, and bring us in that powerful state. And yeah, so I prefer to be alone a lot when I was kid at home than having adult around me. For me, adult was like I hated adults so much. Adult just know how to hurt me. Like they only give me like suffering. They were not like the loving figure ever. They were like the abuser. So for me, I hated adult as a kid. Even now when I see adult, right, I do not actually like them. Even when I see older people, I do not actually like them. Yeah. Even now, I still have that in me.
My next question is, how long did you suffer and feel hurt from this child abuse?
So how long, right? 20 years. I'm currently now 20, right? But I've started to heal a lot and a lot. So the suffering actually went down, because the suffering has actually healed and healed and healed. So I'm started to feel a lot much better because I started to heal my own self. Um, in this state, right, I do not actually need any therapists. I do not need anyone. I have myself, that can be therapist, can be everything that I need. And I have God and my higher self. Higher self is the upgraded version of us, if you want to know. She's like in the 5D, right? So I have my higher self, right? And she's the one who is actually protecting me providing me all of the stuff that I need to heal myself. So I started to dig deeply within spirituality, new age knowledge, and also in my inner world, all of those stuff to being able to heal. So I have suffered a lot, like a lot, you know. It was like the matrix. We call it the matrix, right? We are living in a programming that people, when we are born, we are given identity, name, and oh, you're this culture, you're this religion, so you need to be this. Are Who are we actually? Who am I really? Like, who am I without all of those stuff? Who am I? Right? Without my religion, without my culture, without my tradition, without the society, like the society has created, who am I without all of this stuff, right? Who am I truly am, right? So I started to I have my spiritual awakening. We call that a spiritual awakening or Kundalini awakening. Like, are you guys familiar with spiritual awakening or Kundalini awakening? No, right? So it's like a spiritual awakening when you started to realize that everything that going around you is so messed up, and you started to awaken to a true love, you know. Like, all of this programming will fall down, you know. You will start to awaken, and you will start to realize all of this going around you is basically a programming that that people has been programmed to follow this, like certain religion or certain culture, tradition. All of those are is programmed. So you will start to find who you truly are as a soul, and you will start to connect with true God, through like your own higher self. You know, so it's really amazing. After my spiritual awakening, I started to heal, and I started to realize that that's when the suffering started to end. After my spiritual awakening, when I was like 18 years old, I started to go through my spiritual awakening, and now I am currently in this stage of like heal. We cannot actually fully heal, because when we fully heal, we will actually leave the 3D physical world, right? Right. So, but I have healed like a lot. I can say that I have healed like a lot, like 50 to 60%, like a lot. I have healed, and my healing process is still ongoing through. But I'm feeling a lot better. Yeah.
Okay, for the last question, how do you feel when you see people around you get abused by their parents?
I feel this like insane amount of like, this is wrong, you know. I feel that this is like truly wrong, you know. How come this still happening, you know? We are evolving, you know. Like, even now when I see like the parents abuse their child, right, I feel that deep hurt, you know. I feel that deep hurt, but we can actually do anything, right? Because they are the parental figure. That's why I said child abuse is so hard for the kid to report, because when they go to the police station and start to report, and then they will say, "Oh, where's your parents?" So even they need the parents to come with them, and then the parents will tell the police the different story and stuff, right? You see, no one actually can help the children itself. Like, no one can actually. That's why like not everyone deserves to be parents, you know. So even that, I was in powerless state. Like, how can I actually help those children that are being abused over there, you know? Because then when I started to interfere, that the parents will be like, "Oh, this is my kid, right?" And you see, right? And then when we started to go to the police station, and this, because in this world all of this is normalized. We normalize parents beating up their children, even though it's abuse. Even the police will normalize it. Oh, it's just the parents were beating them because they were doing something wrong, like that, right? So it's hard for us to deal in this today world, you know. We all need to awaken and realize that this is really wrong. All of this is really wrong. Children beating up their parents, like abuse. We need to like teach them, right, the early childhood education, right, about abuse, right. That we need to stop normalizing child abuse.
Okay, that's all from me. Thank you for
Okay, thank you. Okay,
answering.
thank you, Amanpreet. Okay.
Patricia, you want to say anything?
So, were you guys recording this session? Oh, Patricia, your mic is off again.
Okay, sorry. So everyone done, right? Sorry. Okay, everyone done, right? Asking questions. So I hope it's clear. And thank you so much. If you show. Okay. Can
Okay, thank you. So
so what you said is correct. Um. So very thank you so much for spending your time with us and telling all these things. Um. Actually, I have one question. Actually, my question is okay. So you're from small until now. You are facing this child abuse, right?
yes.
Okay, what do you think? Okay, so you are facing child abuse. Okay, what do you think if what do you think your life would be if the child abuse isn't in your life? How colorful or how your life would be?
How my life will be what?
If you have child abuse, right? Imagine like you're having a life that is not child abuse. Your parents are not abusing you. So
Okay,
if
so
like
people, okay,
that,
okay, I get this one, you know. Even I always think, what if I wasn't actually abused by my parents? What if I have the normal life that other children have, right? The loving parents and just like Meesha parents, right? Let me tell you, if I do not actually go through all of this stuff, I will not be here right now. I will not actually go through spiritual awakening. I will not have all this deep knowledge that I currently have now and all of those stuff. So actually trauma can be helpful in our life when we actually heal the trauma, you know. It can become damaging when we do not actually heal it, but it can actually become the most powerful thing when we actually heal the trauma. The trauma actually shape us as who we are. So this trauma, when after I heal it, has actually made me in this powerful state. Because if I was not abusive, I have this wonderful life, you know, I will not be awakened to this all of these things going around me. I will not go through the journey to find my own true self, or go through the journey to find the true God, or not being able to connect with my high self by feeling all of this trauma too much from the offset, right? Too much hate, too much trauma, all of this emptiness feeling. I actually break down the matrix. I was able to escape the matrix, you know, the programming all over our society that are living in, that are currently in deep sleep, right? So I was able to awaken, right? The trauma made me awaken. The trauma actually give me the power to actually see how powerful I am, what we actually can actually do as a soul, you know. Like Patricia, I know you're laughing, you
sorry.
know, but this is so true. Yeah.
So much.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I have other questions. Others?
No questions.
No questions. Okay.
But
If
I need to say, child abuse really need to stop lah. I'm not saying that you need to explain child abuse to become powerful. No, like the world is actually revolving. You know, it's evolving. So really need to stop the child abuse because not everyone can handle it. Many people experience that and they do not actually need to heal. They do not know how to heal. They become trapped over there. That's why many criminals are created. You know, that's why they suffer a lot. I was so lucky that I'm able to heal this, but not many people can do this. So it really need to stop. Yeah.
okay, thank you so much. So Amanpreet,
Yes.
any questions?
No questions.
Okay. If no questions, okay, thank you for spending your time. Okay.